Hello and welcome. In today's video we are going over one of this week's daily races. Now because I'm not Super GT or Jimmy, please do not expect that caliber of racing from me. Now what you can expect is racing with a bit more contact and racing that will honestly leave you a bit confused. But if you guys do go on to enjoy this video, well, hit that like and subscribe button. So the race that we are looking at today is Daily Race A. This is a 6-lap event around the Autodeome Lago Maggiore West End. This is a bit of a shorter circuit, and because it's a short circuit and we are all competing in the same Lancer Evolution 3 GSR, it just means that it's all about driver skills and you don't really have that much time to make it up if you do make a mistake, which means racing is going to be extremely intense and everyone is going to be pushing to try and get their podium position. So racing should be very close, and that's why I'm very excited to actually try this event out. Starting at the back of the pack because I did not qualify, and I like not qualifying because I feel like the racing is a lot more intense working your way up through the pack. So we see the person in 9th position actually had a bit of a roll before the lights went off, so he got slowed down, had to make a way around him, actually bumped into the black Evo on the side of me. So coming into the first corner, we already a little bit behind the rest of the pack and we need to really put the pressure on. So now on the side of the red Evo, push a little bit out, but it is all good. Now what I didn't expect, because I had absolutely no practice in the standard Evo around the circuit, was how the vehicle actually slides out coming into this corner. So first, coming into a hairpin, it is very crucial that you nail the way through that corner, otherwise you're going to be left very slow coming out of it. So now behind the Ukrainian driver, we are on the back of his bumper, but we see that he actually pulls a bit more away from us because he just really took that line absolutely perfectly, and I need to remember that for the next lap. And actually bump into Hank here. Sorry, I hit the finish driver. Then it really just caused a ripple effect, and that sent me back quite a few positions, because even though they overtook me, I lost so much speed that I ended up back where I started in 11th position. So all the work I did in the first lap was basically gone. Under braking, we took back our 10th position, and then coming up to the hairpin, you can see there are a lot of lines that you can take. One being the optimal, second being running a little bit wide, and third going straight into the barrier as you just witnessed. So that hairpin is going to take a lot of lives during the upcoming events. Now we are making our positions back and we want to see how far we can actually get. So there was a bit of contact between me and the black Evo once again, and the black Evo went into me and he got ricocheted into a gravel, so he did a bit of farming. Just like number 7 in front of me, he takes his corner a bit too wide and boom, in the grass he goes, loses a lot of speed, and that is me overtaking. So now under braking, we are behind the Frenchman and we really need to put the pressure to actually make this overtake. Throughout there was a lot of back and forth between me and the Frenchman, trying to really claw our way to fight for the position, and he put up a very good fight up until we got to this part where we made a bit of contact. He bounced into the wall and that slowed him down so much. So I ended up in 6th position, him in 8th, and it was really now all about hunting down 5th position. And we are just starting the 4th lap and this took a very long time. So we only caught up to the Spanish driver at the beginning of the 6th lap. So it's coming really down to the wire. Are we gonna get 5th position, or we just gonna end it off in 6th? So I gave the Spaniard a little bit of a bump on his rear end. Okay, no, pause. I gave him a small little bit of a nudge on his back bumper to just let him know, hey, I am around. If you mess up, I am going to make the overtake. So I was putting pressure, and you could actually see there were a few moments that the Spanish driver was actually getting a bit ahead of me, but he ran a bit of a suboptimal line coming through that hairpin, and it really allowed me to close that gap once again. So now the gap is extremely small, and under late braking, well, I really just made the overtake stick. Plus, so with the way you take that hairpin, if you are able to carry a lot of speed, by all means, that is going to be your race done. So all I had to do was not get a penalty by running over the white line or running into a wall just like he did. Now for the second race, we are starting off in 9th position at the very back of the pack. Now, with there only being 9 drivers, including myself in this event, I knew this was a really good chance at us landing the podium. So that was a goal for this race. So when the lights went off, we need to drop down our traction control, and we actually make 2 overtakes. Well, we made 2 overtakes before reaching the first corner. Now, because we are running a bit on the outer side of the circuit, it was not an optimal line, and we actually see the same Spanish driver that we beat out for 5th place in the previous event actually just in front of us. So we ran a bit off circuit there, you know, really invoking that rally spirit that the Evo brings. Now, with me taking a very bad line coming up towards the hairpin, I find myself back in 9th position, but as you can see, well, I still end up in 9th position. I ran off once again because I took probably the worst line I've ever seen coming around that hairpin. So we have a driver in our front right corner as well as 7th position, which was in front of us. Now we see a vehicle that went farming, so that was an easy overtake. Also just carrying so much more speed than 8th and what is now 7th position, we were able to really close that gap and make the overtake stick, especially since we are now running on the inner part of the circuit. Now coming up, we see extremely hard and extremely close racing against the British Jason McCarville to really make this overtake bump. We actually sent him a bit sideways, which actually threw him a bit off. So hard on the brakes, we see that we made a very poor line there, and we actually saw the Finnish driver pulling the handbrake a bit there. Now up against our previous races, we see the Spaniard on our left, Jason in front of us, as well as Hank pulling the group together in the front. We make a very bold move to dive up the inside, and if you look at the radar, it's just absolute chaos behind us. We carry so much speed through that corner, we're actually able to make it onto the podium within just 2 laps, which honestly was not expected. Then I went and messed the whole thing up by running wide, but so did Hank. By Hank doing that, he gave me a bit of a nudge on the back and sent me forward. But now I have a half a second penalty, which I'm gonna have to serve, which is gonna make me lose a lot of ground. Now we see Greenblood make the overtake. We are now back in 4th position with the penalty that we are about to serve. So I knew we had to take this corner really well, which somehow I didn't. Now we see Greenblood also has a penalty, a 1.5 second penalty, which is a second longer than mine, which means he should serve which means if I'm able to stay on his bumper, I should really make the overtake. And since he was able to just go through because he got it extremely late, and by him running in the gravel, I was able to make the overtake without even needing him to serve his penalty. So as long as I carry speed and I don't run into the wall, well, I knew it was plain sailing. Now we see the Spaniard is extremely close behind. He is very fast around that final sector, and if he is able to really just keep closing the gap every single lap, well, that's gonna be our race done, and we're gonna end up in 4th position, and he will avenge his loss from the previous race. But if we fast forward a bit and we actually make it to the end of the event, we finish with 3rd position. He was not able to make it up and actually suffered a bit of a loss because he spun out a bit and ended finishing in 7th position. So not the best race for him, but we finally managed to land on the podium. So now going into our third event, still not qualifying, we are in 10th position out of 11 drivers. So I decided to spice it up by jumping into a personal vehicle with a livery on it. But even if you use a personal vehicle or just rent one, it makes absolutely no difference because you still end up with the same weight and the same level of power. Now this is when things were a bit weird, because as you can see from the cars, they are not behaving in a right manner, and I can quote myself here being, what is happening right now? As you can see, the cars are all over the place. I don't know what to do, and that causes me to lose a ton of positions. Even on the radar, you can just see absolute chaos going on. People have penalties, cars are just braking, sliding all over the circuit. Yes, this is not the type of content you would see from Super GT. So now I ran extremely wide, got pushed off circuit, but honestly the way the lag was so strong, I don't even blame him. So starting back in 11th position, it really just wasn't a very good first lap. Now we see drivers doing some questionable driving lines and just see a lot of bumping and grinding. R. Kelly would really approve of this. So we still managed to make it back into 10th position before the end of the first lap. But honestly, that first lap was just chaos. Now we don't actually see that heavy lag spike again for the rest of the event. So now it's time to really just push the Evo as hard as possible and make our overtakes. Now we were fortunate enough to have a few drivers make a few mistakes here and there, which allowed us to really just take advantage of that and make a position. So now coming up to overtake and claim 8th position, we don't actually get it because we actually lose our 9th position by Mork coming in and overtaking us. Then we find ourselves in 11th again because we took the hairpin incorrectly and lost so much ground. So now there is no chance of us ending up on a podium. So we see a driver serving a massive penalty which slowed him down drastically, and by me fully sending it around that corner, it allowed us to really close the gap between us and 9th position. Now as long as I'm able to really make my speed travel through this section, I should be able to close the gap even more. But the sad thing is 9th place does exactly the same thing and he actually pulls away from us. So racing this time with the livery, I think it's a bit of a disadvantage. That's just my own thing. But I think I really had better luck when I had no livery on the vehicle. The race overall, how would I recommend this to you? Try it out, really try it out. The racing is extremely close. As you can see, any small mistake you make, that could cost you your position. As you can see, you make a wide turn coming around that hairpin, it's game over. You just have to make sure you are following and sticking to your lines. You are trying to push your vehicle as hard as possible, and that is really the way you're gonna make overtakes. Other than that, it's really a straightforward and very intense race, and I absolutely love these one make races. Now on the back is 7th position. We are extremely close, and I really just want to finish in the top 5 so I can actually feel happy about myself and say, you know what, actually accomplished something. Now 7th slowed us down incredibly coming around that corner because Mans was riding his brakes. So anyway, after a bit of contact, I'm not really happy about making contact there, but after a bit of contact we make the overtake, we make it stick, and now we need to hunt down 6th position. But we have the drivers behind us being extremely close, so we do have to be careful. We cannot push it too hard and run wide because then we will lose our position. So for the next couple of laps we are just making our way up to 6th position, and unfortunately by the time we reach the end of our 6th lap, well, we just aren't able to make it. We see that a driver up ahead still has a penalty, so if we are able to really just push it as hard as possible and make it around, we could make that overtake. But sadly we just missed out by not being close enough really make that overtake. That sums up daily race. A lot of contact, extremely close driving, and a lot of fun. So, oh yeah, and by the way, there's no updates to your DR as well as your SR, hence why contact, you see a lot more drivers being a lot more aggressive because it doesn't affect their overall rating. So with all this being said, I hope you guys did go on to enjoy this video, and if you did, well, hit that like and subscribe button and let me know in the comment section if you want to see more, or should I just stick to my reviews. So with all this being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.